Hey everybody, welcome back to Laps Comic Fan, and today we're talking Boom Studios, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 2. So we're still running the Batman Dark Knight Returns contest. In the contest, if you win, you will receive this Dark Knight Returns box set with mask and comic. It's the full graphic novel too, by Frank Miller. You will also receive Batman's 100 Greatest Moments. This is really good for any Batman fan of any level to have, whether you're new or old. And you will also receive Detective Comics 1000. It's awesome issue. Bunch of Batman artists and storytellers in there. It's really good. It's a nice little package to have. How you enter is you go to the Pop Culture Project YouTube page. You go to the Laps Comic Fan playlist. In there's 2 videos for the Court of Owls or Batman number 1. You leave a comment on there what your favorite Batman moment is, and it could be anything through any media. It could be video game, comic, cartoon, anything you want. And just leave what's your favorite moment, and you will automatically be entered. We haven't received that many submissions, so this contest has been running for a while, so if I don't get any more by the end of March, the live stream after that into April, I'll announce when the draw date is, so you guys can tune in for that. Also, this Saturday, the 19th of March, will be John and I's first live stream that we're going to go through on the Saturday live streams. So you'll be able to tune in for that. I hope to see you guys there. They're a lot of fun, guys. If you come in and you want to interact with us, that's the best place to do so, because we'll sit there and monitor the chat, and there's not so many people in there that we can actually interact with you guys in the chat. So, and we'll be talking, John has never watched any of the DC movies except for Man of Steel. So I had him watch Batman v Superman. He's going to watch Wonder Woman and Zack Snyder's Justice League, but he's also going to watch the Justice League too, just to show how different they are. So hopefully he gets that all done, and hopefully we can talk about that and have some fun. We're just going to have another DC night. And then I think after that we might start doing a Marvel rewatch from the beginning. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. Look for that on the 19th. So last week we started Power Rangers issue number 1, and where that left off with was a little bit of dissension in Angel Grove with the citizens and how they felt about the Green Ranger. At first he was just mopping the floor with the Rangers, and then all of a sudden they're fighting together, and they don't really have like a press tour, so it's not like they really know what's going on. So there's a little bit of distrust there going on. Also within the ranks of the Rangers themselves, Jason says, hey, we should trust Zordon, and Zach's kind of like, well, he didn't even ask us, Tommy just, he said, hey, you're joined. There you go. And Tommy was under the control of Rita, and there's some stuff going on there. He's having visions of her all the time, and she's basically his self-doubt. She's there to put doubt into him and saying, without me, you're nothing. You're nothing. I made you, and you just let everybody down. It's every bad feeling he has leads to a vision of Rita, or hallucination, whatever you'd like to call it. So we ended the comic with Tommy going home, and all of a sudden Scorpina is right there with the sword to his throat, trying to get the power coin back. So let's dive into Kyle Higgins and I can never say his name right, Hendry Presetia's Power Rangers number 2.
We start off with Billy and Trini inside the Dragonzord, trying to figure out how it works. Their conversation turned towards Billy's self-esteem, with the new Green Ranger having more in common with the rest of his team than himself. He's tall, good-looking, and another fighter. Trini reassures him that he's no slouch, and that he's the smartest person she knows, and the other Power Rangers couldn't do any of this without him. He knows answers to questions people don't even think to ask.
So we finally get Billy and Trini in more than just a couple panels. I like how they did this. It plays on like how the show was, where Billy would do all the technical jargon and Trini would explain it to us, the audience or the reader. So the correlation between this and the show is done pretty cool, and it ends up being that they're working on the Dragonzord, trying to figure out why it was freezing up on Tommy or what was going on. And Billy, we get into his self-confidence issues. He he feels that he's not as good looking as the rest of them. He doesn't have anything in common with any of them. And he's not a fighter. Trini has to remind him, like, look, Billy, you do things that nobody can do. Like, all of us, yeah, you might say we could fight and we're good looking and those type of things. She's like, you're no slouch either, but none of us can do what you do. You're the glue that holds this all together. Like, Jason can't come in here and fix the Dragonzord or any of them. They're basically helpless. So you got to get a little bit more confidence in that. And I like that they're doing that because that was a lot like the show. Maybe not with the self-image, but the whole he couldn't fight type thing, and he felt bad about that. So it's nice to see that they're starting at ground zero, working their way up with this character, and I'm sure he's going to become a competent fighter later on.
We pick up with Tommy and Scorpina in Tommy's bedroom. She's telling him to give back the green power coin and she will let him live. Tommy scoffs at this, so Scorpina threatens to use his mother to persuade him. This pisses off Tommy, and he grabs Scorpina and teleports them both out of there. They teleport to an isolated area, and Scorpina takes advantage of this by breaking his wrist communicator, leaving him unable to call for backup. She asks again for the coin, but before she can finish, it's morphin' time.
This takes up right where the first issue left off. Scorpina is asking for the power coin back, and Tommy's in his bedroom, and his mom pretty much is like, "You all right in there?" And Scorpina basically threatens his mother. Is like, hey, if you're not going to deal with me, maybe I can persuade you through your mother. And he's like, yeah, no. Grabs her hand, boop, they teleport out of there. And it's kind of neat that he did that because it shows like what he did from the first issue with the training simulator where he had to make those split decisions. But he did the right thing by getting out of there, but it a little bit backfired on him because in the transport, as soon as they land in this secluded area, Scorpina breaks his wrist communicator, so he can't call for help or have the others. So again, he's left on his own. The whole feeling of being alone for him is big in this comic book. He kind of feels like the outcast. He's having these visions. He doesn't feel like he fits in. They're already an established team. He's also the new kid in school. There's a lot of loneliness in this comic book for Tommy. And also he's very reactive. So he's real lonely, and he makes like these reactive decisions. He just doesn't think that long about things. It's like, oh, you got hit, bam, I hit you back, not what's going on here. So it's interesting to see that they are making him, you want to feel sympathy for him, but you also go, dude, you should probably just chill out and maybe talk to these people. But that's the way they're going with it, and I think it adds for a good dynamic for the team. So yeah, after this, Jason and Kimberly, Jason's teaching karate class like he does in the show, and Kimberly goes up, talks to him, and they're basically chatting about Tommy and how Kimberly's like, he blew me off, he had more training to do. Jason kind of hints at them having a relationship. She's like, not so much. And Jason Sensei comes up to him and starts talking about Tommy and saying, hey, that guy that you were with, he had a really interesting style of martial arts, the Wado Ryu. Maybe he can come in and teach the kid some of that. And he's like, did you want us to teach together? What? And right as soon as that happens, their communicators go off. And this is what I always thought was funny about the communicators. So there's these 6 people that have these communicators, right? And they're always seen together, and they make the same sound. What does everybody else think those weird-ass things are? Are they like in a super secret clubhouse gang that, like, doot, 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 doot? Why does she have that too? No reason! It's either that or they're filming super secret porn.
As Scorpina and Tommy are fighting, Rita is looking on and giving us some important information. She chose Tommy because he is a lone wolf, and he behaves just like she thought he would, content with waging a one-man war. But what he doesn't know is every strike, every hit he lands powers up the crystal, making it that much stronger. The crystal they are talking about is called the Chaos Crystal. We don't know anything about it yet, except that in the Zero issue, Rita has Scorpina go to the battle site on the bridge that everyone was talking about from issue 1, and what led to the Dragonzord appearing to have malfunctioned. It was overlooked in the wreckage, and Rita believes it is the key to a new beginning for her. Just keep that in the back of your mind for now. Rita also explains that the green chaos energy will seal Tommy's fate and the rest of the Rangers. More on that later. The battle rages on and more putties start in on Tommy, and they are pinning him up against a tree. Their bodies are like cement, and Tommy has nowhere to move. Scorpina almost has her hand on the green power coin, and then Jason and Kimberly show up firing their power blasters. Jason takes on Scorpina as Kim frees Tommy from being puttied to a tree.
Okay, so this is really big from the prologue, the Zero issue, which I will do. There was this crystal that Scorpina was sent by Rita to find. It's a chaos crystal, and that's going to play a big part into the story going forward. It was after the fight on the bridge that Tommy had his problem with the Zord. She goes back in a boat and retrieves it. And Rita has this plan where she chose Tommy for a very specific reason, because he's a loner, and he like they said in the comic, he has no problem waging a one-man war. And the more he uses the power, the more it powers up the Chaos Crystal. So it made me think of the show where they were talking about the energy. Everybody had their own energy crystal, and we know too much, energy is not good, especially too much pink energy.
Too much pink energy is dangerous.
I don't know if it's maybe the Rangers and Zordon have their own crystals, but Rita knows more about the green powers than Zordon even does, because those were powers that she gave to him. So there has to be something more that she knows and why this is important. And I thought it was cool that they were laying the seeds all the way back from the prologue. Yeah, it's only issue 2, but they are playing up this is important. So keep that in the back of your mind, that the Chaos Crystal is going to play a factor in these comics.
Scorpina makes a getaway and Tommy tries to chase her down, but she's gone. Rita appears to him and taunts him by saying, if it was the Red Ranger, the others wouldn't have had to come for backup. This infuriates Tommy. Back with the other Rangers, Kim tells Jason that Tommy just bolted after Scorpina. Jason is wondering how she got Tommy alone all the way out here. Tommy shows back up and explains how they got there. Jason apologizes to him, wishing he could have been there sooner. Tommy flips out saying, she blindsided me. I'm sure you guys would have handled it better, but I did everything I could. Jason tries to calm him down, letting him know he understands, and he was just saying. Tommy shrugs him off and bats Jason's hand away.
So Jason and Kimberly show up right in the nick of time, and Tommy's basically puttied to a tree. And Kimberly frees him while they take on the putties, and Scorpina had booked it out of there, and Tommy just goes right after her, leaving the other two there with the putties. He's like, I can't let her get away. So he's one-track minded right now. And that's not really being a team player. So Tommy's, you can tell that he's very distant from the team. He's holding in all the feelings he has. He's having visions of Rita. She's taunting him all the time. His Zord isn't working. He just doesn't feel like he's fitting in. He's like a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. And with the taunting, now she's targeting him and showing up to his house. This is getting, for a teenager, this is getting out of hand. But he makes the big mistake of not telling the rest of the team. So there's a parallel with the citizens and like how Zach didn't trust Tommy. He's like, I kind of don't know what's going on. But there's also the parallel of Tommy not trusting them. And he can't have the understanding of why they don't trust him if he doesn't trust them also. So they're doing really, really good at hitting you with those parts of the emotional side of the characters.
Back at the command center, the Rangers discuss the situation with Rita targeting Tommy. Zach figures as long as Tommy doesn't play ball with her, she will continue these attacks, and they may get more drastic until she gets the green power coin. Zordon agrees, but Tommy doesn't care what she tries. He won't let her get her hands on the coin or the Dragonzord. Billy and Trini finished with their assessment of the Dragonzord, and they fill the team in that everything is fine with it mechanically and sensor-wise. It just stopped listening to Tommy. Rita chimes in again and rubs it in his face that it was an operator error. The Rangers are confused as to why this would happen, but Zordon tells them that their Zords are connected to them and must feel just as comfortable with you as you them. With this news, Tommy is even more distraught, and a taunting Rita isn't helping, and in that moment, Tommy is finally snapped. With the Rangers looking on, he says he's had it. He's had it with all the annoying nagging. The Rangers look back at him, and before Tommy can get out another word, he collapses on the ground.
So the Rangers are like, yeah, she definitely has a vendetta against Tommy. And Zach brings up that if he doesn't play ball, it's probably going to get worse, you know, and Zordon agrees. He says that her actions are going to get more dramatic and she's going to up her game. And Tommy's basically like, no, I don't care. I'm not giving her the power coin. I don't care what she does. Billy and Trini are back, and they explain that there was nothing wrong with the Dragonzord. The wiring was right. The sensoring was right. It just stopped listening to him. So all of this stuff is happening. Like I said, the visions, the feeling back, all this stuff. Tommy's just like, oh my God. He's just, so much is happening. And they're discussing it, and they're talking about, like, you know, Zordon chimes in with, you know, the Zords have to trust you as much as you trust them. So, and there's another thing with trust. Tommy's just like, he's losing it. And the vision of Rita's like, so it was a pilot error. Ha-ha. You know, messing with him, and he's finally like, you know what? I've had it. I've had enough of this. And he says it out loud. And they're all looking at him like, what? And Billy goes to apologize, but he's like, I've had enough of this nagging. I've just had enough of this. And then, boom, he collapses. And that's where it ends. There's so much pressure on this dude, and it feels like just more and more and more and more and more and more is happening. But I guarantee you, he wants to be the best Power Ranger he can be. And if he tells them, he probably thinks if he tells them this stuff, they're going to bench him. And that's just going to make him more mad. Because I'm sure once you get this type of power, it's not something you want to relinquish or sit on the side. You know, as much as they want to say, oh, we're helping people and we're do-gooders, I bet you when you have that much power coursing through you, you're probably like, this is pretty freaking awesome. And I don't want to be sitting on the side doing nothing, especially with Alpha 5 and the floating head Zordon. So what did you guys think of Power Rangers number 2? I think it's going in the right direction. I'm really intrigued with when is Tommy going to tell them what's going on? There's got to be a breaking point at some point. And will he ever be free of this? Will the Green Ranger be longer than it was in the TV series? Because we know that in the TV series from Kiro Sentai Zoo Ranger, that was a guy named Barai, and he was tied to Geki, and they were brothers, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole backstory there, but his appearances were limited. So the producers of the show had to get new footage with that Green Ranger in it. But with the comic book, you can tell the story of him losing his powers, or you can keep those powers as long as you want, because you could say this happened in this many days. It wasn't like, you know, a set period of time. So we'll see. I'm very excited because I would like to see the White Ranger, but I did like the Green Ranger arc in the first season. That was obviously the best part of the first season. But I think they're doing a really good job. Boom Studios has had a hit on their hands. I would read this even if I wasn't a Power Rangers fan, because it's actually good writing. The art's solid, and the comics are nice, man. They're on high gloss paper. It's really well put together. When you feel the book in your hand, it's not like super flimsy like other books. It's just a very well-made book. So next time we'll be going into issue number 3 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And remember, guys, it's morphin' time.